Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're welcoming back Dan Blacklock from Cloud Puncher Games. Cloud Puncher Games is the innovator of such board game accessories as BoxThrone, Token Sesame, and LAX RAX. Their newest campaign for a $399 extendable board game table is currently on Kickstarter. Dan, welcome to the bench. How you doing?
Pretty good. It's good to be back.
Oh, it is great to have you back.
And yeah,
we were just saying before we came on air, it's so cool in this industry to see the evolution of these different companies, right? We've had a lot of people on the podcast, and it is such a treat when I see, someone have success and then success again and then success again. And now here we are for a fourth time. We're going to get into it, but holy smokes, success doesn't justify what you've been able to achieve here. So, oh my God, this is crazy. So first and foremost, congrats on the wedding. I heard you just recently got married. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yep. I just got married last week.
Yeah. And so for people that want to kind of get the back history of some of these other projects you've launched, episode 22, episode 115, you were on the podcast. But for the people who are just catching this episode, can you give us just a quick overview of kind of who you are and what Cloud Puncher Games is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like in 2017, we launched a shelving system called the BoxThrone.
Yeah.
It's like a full metal expandable shelving system designed for board games where like every game can get its own shelf. As you grow your collection, you can grow your shelving unit because it's all fully modular and seamless. Now we did that and it raised about $900,000 on Kickstarter. And so from there, we built it into like a online store and we've shipped like 30 mini Kickstarters of that since.
Wow.
Like it's since 2017. It was going, we shut it down this year. Well, we temporarily paused it this year for stuff I guess we can talk about later. Might be interested in it. And then after that we launched Token Sesame, which is a modular board game bit holder. It holds all your little bits and it has art plates featuring different artists on it and stuff like that. And then we did LAX RAX, which is like an IKEA hack, basically to turn your IKEA Kalix into kind of a BoxThrone style shelving system where each game gets its own shelf again.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, and we're in the process of fulfilling it. All the others are fulfilled. We're in the process of fulfilling LAX RAX right now. We just started mass production on it.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit delayed, like because the precision of the engineering of it was a little bit more challenging than I had first anticipated.
Yep.
It's just like a lot of different variables that have to be taken into account, and it was like we went through like another. I'd say 30 different iterations after the Kickstarter trying to fine tune it.
Oh, wow.
So and then now, we got Project Ironside, which is our extendable board game table on there. And it's doing pretty well.
It's doing okay. Yeah.
It's doing okay.
So engineering has been something that has clearly been a big part of each of these campaigns that you've done, right? So when I look back at, even something as simple as, the Token Sesame, I think I actually accused you of this on that podcast, that episode of almost over-engineering, right? Over-designing everything. Like, it's clear as a company that you guys aren't just kind of throwing something out quick, but there's a lot of thought and process behind it and thinking, okay, what else can this do, right? And what else can we put into this, which I think is really cool. And certainly I think it showcases that in your success in these campaigns. I mean, BoxThrone, I think by the time it's all done, like probably in the millions, I'm thinking on that project. I think you hit almost $500,000 on Token Sesame as well as LAX RAX. So, I mean, you're not doing small campaigns, and you're doing large campaigns, and it's showing, I think, in all the care. And even if I look at your campaign pages, right, and we're going to show some of the campaign pages in a second, but there's a lot of thought that goes into those pages. They're very methodical. You've got a lot of animated GIFs, a lot of really quickly helping somebody get to the idea of what this concept is all about, very, very fast in your visuals, which I think is really awesome and a testament kind of to your company. So let's dive into some of this. So you've got this extended table coming for $399. So where did the idea of this come from?
Yeah, I mean, like, to be honest, like even before BoxThrone, I wanted to design a board game table. Just from like way back in the day, some of the very earliest board game tables that I ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, I think it was 2016, I think it was something like that. It was like way, way back in the day, early days of like Kickstarter-ish. Um, I tried to design a board game table, but like I just couldn't do it. Like I didn't have the design skills, didn't have the connections to help with manufacturing, so I couldn't do design for manufacture,
Mm-hmm.
which is a process that helps you reduce costs when it comes to manufacturing, which is like something I've learned bit by bit over the past 4 years, 5 years doing this. Um, so like I tried to do it, but like I couldn't really get it. I wanted to make like something modern and like glossy and stuff like that, which looking now is like, yeah, I've achieved that with completely different materials that I've used and stuff like that. Um, but I tried back in the day, didn't really work. So kind of like moved to like the shelving side and the storage side of stuff. And now I'm kind of like coming full circle now that I feel like I have enough skills and understanding of design.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like design for manufacture makes like a huge difference, right? Like knowing where you can put like off the shelf hardware into stuff like screws that have already been made or like hinges and that kind of stuff. Um, like knowing, like even just knowing general stuff about like industrial design terms, like I said, like what kind of hinges and joints and stuff to use. It can help you communicate with factories better, and then if they understand what you're looking for easier, then they can come up with suggestions and stuff too to kind of reduce the cost. So like I feel like I've got a pretty decent understanding of like metal work now. Like I've looked at this, like I said, we've shipped 10,000 BoxThrones, like 10,000 customers of BoxThrones. Like it's a lot.
That's crazy.
And so in that process, I've learned so much about like just like what makes a metal product expensive, where you can cut costs, where you can refine stuff. So it's just like it's like mostly labor, to be honest. Like that's where it comes in, because it's like you got people welding. Welding takes a long time.
Yeah.
So it's stuff that's like it's always better to replace a weld with like a screw or just like some kind of mechanism where it can connect without needing to permanently weld stuff together. It makes a huge difference to the cost.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'd be remiss. I'd be remiss to say. So you're actually living in China, right? So you're you're a Canadian expat that's living in China. That's got to help, eh? Like when you are able to physically go to the location and talk with the engineers and kind of troubleshoot, or is that part of pretty much your daily life now? Or?
Yeah. I mean, like it's got like pros and cons to it. Like the pros of living here is like, yeah, you can prototype and manufacture stuff like real quick. Like you don't have to ship it across shipping a table across the ocean. It's like $3,000 each time.
Yeah.
And we did five or six iterations of the table before like we settled on the prototype that you see in the Kickstarter campaign. So like not being here and working with a factory to do it would be like a huge, I don't know, it would just take a lot of time, take a lot of money. It's just much more advantageous to be in China doing it. And it also helps you like all the factory owners like will use like just like WeChat, right?
Yep.
So like being in the same time zone as them, it's like you can also just like quickly shoot messages and they'll shoot it back and you go back and forth and you just have a live track. Like no one really uses emails, right? If you're using emails, it's you're going to get you're going to be secondary to people who are using WeChat to talk to factories. So like you can progress through products a lot faster. And like we have like a lot of add-ons. Like even now, like in the Project Ironside campaign, we launched it and we had like a set of add-ons. And we do this with all our Kickstarters.
Mm-hmm.
But once the Kickstarter kind of begins, we will get ideas from backers. They'll be like, why don't we add an acrylic battle mat, or like why don't you make it so that you can have a giant wooden topper if you put multiple tables together, and just like little ideas like that. Or like, why don't we have a carrying bag or a card holder that you can be magnetically attached to the top and all this kind of stuff. So as we're going, we are designing as well. Like I've designed probably like 8 new add-ons since the Kickstarter has begun, and I'm like getting renders done, getting prototypes done, making sure everything is like structurally sound before we go to sell it. But like I wouldn't be able to do that if I don't think I was in China. Like it was like we just got coffee table leg adaptions and bar height legs extensions. So those are coming later this week. but like I was able to kind of like get that in the entire design and prototyping process done in like maybe like 7 days, 10 days
Wow.
because of that. Yeah, I'm like, we have a really good factory too, a really good metal factory. Like, he doesn't take breaks, doesn't take any holidays. Like, I can message him anytime.
Wow.
And he's just like goes to the factory and tries it out and stuff like that. So,
and this is like is it like, did I read somewhere it's like a Swedish style table or something like that? There's something about Sweden that was baked into this.
Yeah, like it's inspired by Swedish design principles.
Yeah,
basically just like the minimalism of it, using as few kind of like parts as possible to assemble it, and having just like a lot of like clean lines, and it really just comes down to like a simple look is what I wanted to go to. I didn't want it to be like overly ornate, like I mean, because there are a lot of the board game tables out there, and like some of them are like very ornate, like they look great, but like it's like a style that might not suit every apartment or like every house. So I wanted to create something a little bit different. So I wanted to keep it like just looking like almost like a bit more modern. That's why I have like the glossy kind of shiny finish to it. But then you have like the option to put like the wood toppers on it, and then it becomes more like a classical kind of dining table.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've created something that is like quite unique in terms of board game tables. So yeah. So anyway,
I mean, right now, and I've got this in US dollars. I know I usually say Canadian dollars, but I'm not logged in, so I'm actually seeing the US dollars. You're at $3.35 million on this campaign so far. Still 35 days to go. 4,092 backers. This is obviously going to be one of the top campaigns, I think, for Kickstarter in the game sector. I think you're probably going to hit the top 20. I'm thinking at least. Maybe even higher.
Maybe. I don't like to jinx it. I just think of like the week ahead. That's all I do.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So obviously there's a huge demand. The $3.99 price point, was this something that was kind of the starting point, or did you land there, or how did that kind of come into play?
No, the price is going to be $4.49 originally. But we ran a bunch of like test ads, like A/B testing ads on Facebook to when we were like gathering emails and followers and stuff like that. And about 95% of the engagement, like comments, likes, people clicking through, were on the ads that had $3.99 in the headline. And like, so we had like two sets of ads. One said $3.99 and one said $4.99. That's the only difference between them. And 95% of the traffic was on the $3.99 one. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's worth it to, absorb a little bit more of the margin, the cost, to create more of like a sticky product with I don't know. It's more interesting to people when they hear that and like, oh, $3.99, it's got a good ring to it. And it's like it's an affordable price, right?
Yeah. It definitely feels accessible, right? So
exactly.
When I was looking at that price point, I was thinking, this is something that probably the average gamer might actually be able to get into, right? And I think that's a challenge with some of these other tables that are out there. And no disservice to any of them, they're all great. But some of them, the price is quite high, right? So it's not attainable for the majority of people, right? It's more for like the super hardcore, maybe people who are into content creation and so forth, want to have something as a nice showpiece. But it looks like you've been able to take kind of that overall idea of, a gaming table, which I think most people in the board game industry probably want, right? Nice neoprene table that's recessed, something you can convert into a dining room table. And you've got that now at a price point that is now accessible for a lot of people. People can still kind of, pimp it out, for lack of a better word, right? They can get two tables, put them together, make it like a mega table, kind of like the Dwight Schrute's mega desk. You can have the mega table. Yeah.
You can put infinite tables together, actually. But
I mean, I think that's awesome. You can make them super long. You can make them large and square. All the accessories you've built into this, I think, are really cool as well. And it really, again, it speaks to some of the forethought around it. Can you walk us through some of these accessories that you've created for this? So I've noticed, I thought that the Matt Caddy, I thought was part of your prior I think that was part of your prior campaign, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was part of LAX RAX. yeah, it sorry, for some reason my audio sounds messed up, but
No, it sounds great on this end. Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, so that was part of LAX RAX because it was all kind of like IKEA
Mm-hmm.
hacky stuff, stuff that you can
Yep.
pimp out your Kalix with. So um I yeah, I thought it was like relevant to Project Ironside
Sure.
because we have so many different like playmat options, right? We got like the 3 double-sided playmats. Might be adding another one before the end of the campaign. Plus, like if you're swapping them out and stuff like that. So we designed that so you got a place to store them. And the idea behind the Playmat Hero as well is that it comes with 2 extra straps, so you can store like very long mats, like the stuff you'd be using on the table. You can store them vertically in it. So like a lot of yeah, it's like one of the most requested things by backers. Just another example how we'll come out with a product and then some back like I think maybe a threshold is like 3 backers say the same thing and they're like, okay, we have to change the product and add this into it. I think it's a good idea. So yeah, that's one of the upgrades we did to Playmat Hero. Yeah, so we have these like straps that allow you to hold these super long mats vertically, or you could do short mats horizontally. So yeah, like yeah, so it's just a really good pairing with
And you got
with the table.
clip-on cup holders. You've got clip-on card holders, discard card holders.
Yeah.
So it seems very, very modular, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
And the one thing that caught my eye, and I'm just showing on screen here, is that, like the fact that you've taken, okay, we've got the cover that goes on it, right? So if somebody wants to put the kind of the wood topper on it to make it a dining room table, you've got that, but then you've taken again this over engineering kind of approach to say, well, what else can we do with these pieces when they're not being used on the table? Well, why don't we make it like an elevated center section where we can store components, or maybe have the table and we can, put our stuff underneath, or maybe I can have it as like most people toss the box somewhere, maybe on the couch or somewhere. Well, let's maybe create a little mini table that we can store the box on. So where did that all come from? Like, I mean, it seems so obvious when you look at it now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's like yeah, I guess it comes from like and over engineering, I guess, personality that we have when it comes to designing stuff. But like, yeah, I was just like watching other board game tables and notice their leaves and like how they store them and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I'm just thinking like if I had those leaves, like what? I mean, there's some other things I can do with them. And I notice that whenever I play a board game, it's like I just don't know where to put the box, especially if you're at like a board game table where you don't have like, are you going to put it into the vault, like into the playing pit? Like it's not a very easy place to put the box while you're unboxing, right? So like I was finding myself putting it on a chair next to me.
Yep.
So I'm just like, well, like why would I do that? If it got a full house of people, I can just take one of these leaves and put some legs in it, and then that can be a little unboxing stool, right? And so like there's an unboxing stool, and then there's like the longer end pieces make kind of like a storage bench where you can put your coats or snacks or like other games that you're not playing and all that kind of stuff. And kind of thought like, oh, those could be like behind the players or at the end of the table. So you have a few different like storage options. I guess part of it comes from like a strange, I don't know, I guess goal to make storage, I don't know, better. Storage is kind of our thing, right? We got like BoxThrone, like storage, LAX storage. So it was like, oh, like, well, we have to include some kind of storage kind of mechanism with the table as well. So, so yeah, that's what we're doing. And then like the wood topper gets crazier too. Like, I don't know if you got the page open there, but like like the table's modular, right? So you can put like as many tables as you want together widthways or lengthways. So like if you put tables widthways, you can create like a 5 foot by 6 foot table, right? Because you're putting 2 3 by 5 foot tables together. And so we created like a massive wood topper. It's actually called the huge wood topper. That's like 5 foot by 6 foot. And it's split in half down the middle, but it all has an interlocking groove system. So it's like secure. But if you take that, you can like split the table in half to make 2 tables again, and also use those toppers as that split giant topper as individual toppers on the smaller tables as well. Like, yeah, just like the topper science it goes a bit bananas, but yeah, I think it looks good. I think it works really well. So
super awesome. And then it obviously bears a lot of weight. Like I was showing a couple images here where people are actually sitting on the table, laying on the table. What kind of testing do you do to to get that structural integrity?
Well, like it's all made in a metal factory, right?
Yeah.
So they will build a prototype there and they'll just start putting metal things on it. And there's like 100, 200, 300 kilograms worth of metal there. Like we just couldn't make it fail. Eventually run out of stuff to put metal on it, to put weight on it, right? So like I think we did it up to about like I don't want to say a number because it's like I don't want anyone to try stuff, but we had done, let's say, significantly over 100 kilograms. We had ran out of stuff to put on the table, like multiples more. And the table just wouldn't get damaged. So we couldn't really have a weight limit number on it. So like with the table, like your floor will get damaged before the table gets damaged.
Oh,
like
wow.
if you're putting that much weight. So if you're putting like if you got 5 people sitting on the table or something like that, and you got like 400 kilograms worth of weight on there, it's like it's more likely to dent your floors than is it to bend the table. Like it's solid steel, right?
That's crazy.
Like nothing's like glued together or anything like that. So yeah.
I noticed and again, I got on the screen here, this, the bit holders. Is this actually Token Sesame? Like half of Token Sesame that's clipping in?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's compatible with it. So if you got Token Sesame, you can like pop off 3 of the chambers and just plug it into the table and use those as bit holders.
I was looking at it, I'm like, this looks a lot like Token Sesame. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's compatible with it. And same with the art plates, So like we wanted to make it special for people who back to Token Sesame. So like a lot of them have very limited art plates now. I think it's like 7 or 8 different art plates that we haven't produced them since, and they're extremely rare. So like we want to give people another chance to kind of show them off and stuff like that. So like they can deck out the little bit holders that are in the table with those art plates and stuff like that too. So it just makes it pretty fun. But yeah.
So the one thing that popped in my head as soon as I saw this campaign was, is this guy crazy? Like with the weight that you're gonna be shipping and the container costs right now.
Yeah.
What's the process to manage that? Because I mean, obviously you're going to have you're collecting shipping after the campaign, and again, the shipping costs aren't unreasonable. But for me as a publisher right now, it's container cost. That is the single largest cost, especially when you have heavier items like this. How are you dealing with that? Is everything being shipped to backers from China, or are you shipping to regional distribution centers, or can you walk us through that?
Yeah, it's going to regional distribution centers. Like that is the entire reason behind like the design of the table, right? We designed it to pack very flat and very compact into as few boxes as possible, so we can kind of like ship it with like, for example, UPS ground shipping in two boxes. So that like really reduces the end, like the last mile shipping.
Yeah.
In terms of freight, it's like the price of freight's coming down. In our experience, what is more detrimental is the import tariffs in the US. There's a 25% import tariff in the US. Metal. It's even been it's now, I think there's a 7.5 one that's applied to board games now. Nothing is safe from it now. It's like, so any kind of furniture you import to the US, 25% tariff. So it's like that is more of a concern. But like we're doing this since 2017, and like every single BoxThrone wave, 2017 is when like Trump put that tariff in, right?
Yeah.
So like every single BoxThrone wave, I'd also like to add that we took the funding from the BoxThrone before he put that tariff in.
Oh, geez.
So that wasn't fun. So we've been dealing with like 30 waves now, right? So we like I just have enough experience to kind of like factor in everything. And like I was like long before even when on Kickstarter, we'd already figured out like how much it's going to cost for freight, including shipping, including tariffs, and like all this kind of stuff. Contacted all the warehouses. That's why it's like in the shipping chart at the bottom, like for example, Australia is split between 2 different regions, like Perth and like Western Australia is like super expensive, just because we like did our due diligence and stuff like what it would cost, because everything ships out of Sydney, but like Sydney is an okay price to ship to. So we just did a lot of due diligence in terms of like shipping and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to regional warehouses, and because the other thing is like in the US we use 5 different warehouses.
Wow.
In the US to reduce the zone. Like if you only have 1 warehouse in the US, it's like you're kind of you're spending a lot more money than you need to.
Yeah.
You're probably shipping a lot of your stuff in like zone 5 or 6, which is like that's where the limit is. Like once you're out of zone 4, it's like the price goes up like 25% to ship.
Yeah.
So you want to ship, you basically want to be able to ship things like at maximum 2 states over, right? So like we have a warehouse, we've got like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, and California. And so we can really reduce that like last mile cost. So yeah, so like we're doing a lot to try and make the shipping, reasonable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then I can see like with the neoprene mats, and I'm showing on screen here as well. I mean, you've got these kind of double-sided mats, so somebody can choose whether they want to have like, if they're playing Tidal Blades and they want like an ocean view, or if they're playing Carcassonne, they want like kind of the grassy knoll, they can do that. Terraforming Mars and so forth. Is there going to be an option down the road to ever customize these or be able to do like a custom player mat? Is that a thing right now? Is anybody doing that?
I mean, like everything, like, I mean, yeah, like there's plenty of people doing that. But like when you customize a mat like that, it's going to cost you like $130 or something like that, that I've seen on other campaigns. And it's just not really like the mission of the kicks, like our campaign. Like we want to make it accessible and affordable to people. So like we have to make everything standardized, right? Like we can't have, too many different like variations. This is why we only really have one size of the table, 3 by 5 foot. And to expand the table, you're just putting more tables together, right? We don't have like a 4 by 4 and a 3 by 3 and all this kind of stuff, because we are like, it has to be standard in order to keep the prices low.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reasoning too with the play mats. Like if you like doing custom play mats is very expensive because just making one. Even doing mass producing play mats, like you have to print at least 1,000 of them. So like the cost is going to be high, even if it's just sunk costs from not being able to sell many of them. So like that is all like kind of included into it. That's why I'm hesitant to add a 4th mat, but I think people like it. Might do a volcano, and the other side maybe like a dungeon floor.
Oh, cool.
I think we do something like that. So I think that's the other thing too with the mats. Like I enjoy using play mats, but a lot of them are often like too detailed in the design. Also plays into like what I learned from Token Sesame as well, because a lot of people are saying, oh, can we have more like generic kind of designs that will fit with like any game and stuff like that. And so we kind of took that philosophy and like put it towards the play mats as well. Like, so they're double-sided, but the scenes are like quite, they're quite generic. You got like a desert, you got Mars. It's nothing that's like so detailed, like a dragon flying you or something like that, that you wouldn't feel like it is specific to like 1 or 2 games, And plus I feel like often if the playmat's too detailed, it takes away from the game.
Yeah, it's a little bit like sensory overload.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like people want to focus on the game, otherwise it's just like it gets too much,
Yeah.
So we try to make it like the playmat's quite subtle. And judging from like, we got a lot of people who just want to buy the playmats and stuff too. So like I feel like it is pretty. I'm not the only one who felt like that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So what's next for you guys? So obviously you're a man that's got things charted out quite far. Can you give us a teaser as to what's coming after this project, Ironside?
Yeah, I mean, like the nice thing about. I mean, this obviously the nice thing about the project is that like now we can expand the company a bit, right? I could probably hire like another couple of people and start working on a lot of other stuff. Yeah, there are my plans have changed slightly since the Kickstarter campaign, because now we can kind of like work on more stuff. I do have another furniture product. I don't know, it's another storage product, but I don't know if I want to talk about it yet.
Okay.
So like I've got one of them. I have a dice set, which was just like a fun kind of thing we came up with. It was a programmatic. Maybe I won't tell too much about it. But it's like it's got a random number generator chip inside the dice. That's not what shows, but it will make the patterns that show up on the dice completely random every time you roll the dice. Because it has like it's been programmed to be random, stuff like that. So it's like every time you roll a dice, you'll get like a unique kind of like pattern and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. So working on that as well. And then I'm also working on a couple of games that might begin a couple of licensed games with couple of indie video games. So working on that as well. So yeah, because like honestly, like I would love to try and do some game design and stuff like that. So I'm going to be trying working with some people and taking a crack at that as well. So yeah, it's like we've got like 4 kind of Kickstarters slated. Yeah, first one will probably be the dice, then it'll be the furniture, and then the games will come after that. So
and timing, are you like, is it kind of like an annual thing now, or will you ever get that frequency up? Or
I'd like to, yeah, I'd like to do at least 2 a year. You know, like I feel like other companies like mine, I feel like yeah, I mean, I don't want to name drop too many, you know, but I feel like companies where I would like to get to, I feel like the like boardgametables.com is like a good inspiration for us, I think.
Yeah.
They have like a good mix of like furniture, accessories, and games. I think that's something like we'd want to strive towards. But like I mean, my vision is still like a little bit different. Like that we're still figuring out as we go, but I want to make it a lot more themed around the characters and like the mascots of the Cloud Puncher games. Like we always have like the Box King, a Box Viking. You know, we're going to try and make that more of like a branded family. You know, maybe we'll make some stuff about that. So yeah, man, like yeah, just a lot planned, a lot happening.
Well, but, it's awesome when you see the campaigns hit big like this is hit. And I've got a couple colleagues in the industry.
It surprised me.
Yeah, I've got a couple colleagues in the industry that have had that happen, where they're going along, and as we know, it's not easy, right? And it's a lot of work. And then things just align and something hits, and when it hits, it's like, okay, now we've got the resources to do more, right? And to now maybe some cases people have day jobs, right? That they can say, okay, now I'm going to do this full time and really feed into the passion, which allows them to create even more content and even bigger campaigns and really kind of be fully all into the industry. So it's inspiring to see what you've done here. And I want to wish you all the best on this campaign. I'm excited to see where it ends. I think it is going to be probably one of the top ones, but we're going to see. I don't want to jinx it, but I mean, 3.5 million so far is not a small number. So once again, bud, want to congratulate you. And again, congrats on the marriage.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. You take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.